It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wants to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wants to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful folks. Happy Monday. It is the last Monday of March 2026. If you can believe it. Yeah, tomorrow is the end of the month. And then Wednesday is April the 1st. That would be April Fool's Day. Then we're moving straight into the Easter weekend, the long holiday weekend, which I know a lot of people look forward to here in the Cayman Islands. Lots of camping will be happening. So I already see people have their camping gear set up and staked out and the works. Wow, mess with you guys. Y'all like, nobody ain't getting my spot, honey child. I don't blame you. Secure your spot. I know for some families, it's a tradition to be in a particular location every year. And quite frankly, there's more and more people competing for those locations. So I completely understand it. Yeah. All right. Everyone had a safe weekend. It was relatively quiet around the place. Nothing too extraordinary happened. We did have a little bit of a robbery event on Friday. So please don't forget, if for some reason you don't follow CMR on social media, well, you're missing a lot of news alerts because it gets posted there first and foremost. Sometimes we don't have enough for a full story. So we posted on social, little caption, little picture, and that's what we did on Friday. Hey, good folks, we heard about a little robbery in the parking lot of CNB. And so we posted that up literally, I think, within minutes of it happening so that you kind of know, what's happening. Some of you then started to message, oh, I see the helicopter's up. Well, that's why the helicopter was up, because they were looking for the culprits. They were like, oh, we're going to get you, honey child. So that's the best way to follow. And of course, even if you don't follow us on social media, we do have our WhatsApp channel where all of the posts and notifications go from social to the WhatsApp channel to let you know right on your phone directly what's happening. Now, some of you say to me, I went to a grocery store on Saturday that I don't often go to. Big shout out to Kirk's. I did go on Saturday and had a nice salad. I love their salad bar. Their salad bar is really nice. So went and checked out their salad bar, and I ran into a lady there who said, hey, are you still on YouTube? And I said, oh, yes, honey child. We were in a little bit of a minor YouTube jail the other day, but that didn't last too long. We're out. And she said, oh, I can't find you. And I said, well, do you subscribe to the channel? And she said, well, I do, but I turned off the notifications because I was getting so many. Well, yes, a lot happens on this little island, honey chill. It's a little rock, but let me tell you, all three islands have a lot of action. So I said to her, well, if you had been getting the notifications, you would know what was going on with the YouTube channel and the backup channel. And, I get it because I subscribe to a few channels myself, and you think we send out plenty. Oh, my Lord. Try subscribing to like the news channels, BBC, and who else do I subscribe to? BBC, Al Jazeera, National Geographic. Right now, the New York Times, I have 108 unread notifications for that channel. And that's just since Thursday. Yeah. Let's just say that they send out a lot. So anyway, yes, they send out a lot. And, you just got to scroll through it quickly. You don't have to click and read every single thing, but if you kind of scroll through it, you will have an idea of exactly what is going on. So that's my recommendation. That's how you stay in the know. Yep. All right. So, let me just see here. Yes. So, dun. I'm just looking for something really quickly that I need to send someone this morning. All right. So anyway, we are going to get straight into it this morning because we do have quite a bit to cover. I've just updated the links. So once again, if you are, just having a quick look here. If you are following the channel, you're going to get the updated links here, but you'll know that it's the same link every single day. So you just got to give me a few minutes into the show for me to then update it, and we are good to go. So now they've been updated. So if you just click on the usual, you'll know exactly what I mean. All right, let me see here now. Consent order. Yes. Just need to send this to somebody real quick this morning. All right. So that incident happened on Friday with the robbery. And then we found out by yesterday. That's when we could put up a story on the website. The police had a little bit more information about the incident between Saturday and yesterday. So good for them. They at least caught one of the culprits. I think they're looking for more individuals. So we'll keep an eye on that situation for all of you. And I don't think there was anything major this weekend. Again, you know, I'm actually not the one who's writing a lot of the crime stuff. We've got somebody else on the team that focuses on those. And I just saw a headline that was kind of shocking. Something about a, what does it say? A tire man asking for help to change a tire, and then he robbed the guy. What did I just read? Oh my God, I got to go read CMR myself. That's wild. Unbelievable. Say what? Damn, you can't even be nice to people anymore. This is, wow. The world is just on a different level, shifting, and not in a good way all the time. I'm shocked. All right. Okay. All right. So, all right. So let me just quickly say that we do have a very important announcement coming at 9:00 this morning. We've got the Honorable Premier. We've got the Premier, the Honorable Andre Ebanks, joining us, along with the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, and they've got an exclusive coming for you right at 9:00. So you will want to undoubtedly tune in for that. That's going to be a bigly, an extra bigly story. And you're going to hear it right here first. Okay. Before we get to that, we got to talk about something serious. On Friday, and there's other stories coming this week. And by the way, thank you so much to all of the amazing people who have been reaching out in relation to the series that we've been doing on, you know, individuals who are defrauding not just the government, not just WRC, but quite frankly, their own people or people from other countries who are in a very dire situation, really poor individuals. And I think that it's so sad that this has been happening. You know, a lot of those people saw me over the weekend. They were very, very thankful. And they were saying to me, Miss Sandy, thank you so much for doing this series, because they have long known about some of the individuals. And, you know, it was refreshing for them to see that something is actually being done. Like, at least now the general public knows. Now WRC and the government has a lot of questions to answer as to why I don't know what happened there. This thing has been auto-muting me for some reason. Oh my goodness. Did it cut off the radio? Hopefully not. But so a lot of you have been saying to me, you know, thank you so much for highlighting this situation, because what we have happening now is a lot of people knew about this. A lot of people had heard stories from their friends and their colleagues. Listen to me. I have even had police officers, straight up, not a word of lie. I have even heard police officers stopping me and saying to me, Miss Sandy, I was listening to Thursday's show. And I'm just like, I was listening to Thursday's show, and this is what I heard. And let me tell you something. This is not the first time. And quite frankly, they were telling me how this is something that they have known about for quite. And not only have they known about it, but, people have committed suicide because of the debt. They're going to loan sharks in their own country in order to be able to borrow this money to come to the Cayman Islands. In some instances, not only have they, what's going on with you? Oh my goodness. What's going on with YouTube? I see that for some reason we have nobody on YouTube. What is up with that? Oh my gosh. Are we blocked on YouTube again? Oh, hold on. I've literally just noticed that the YouTube link has no one watching it, which is so weird. But I'm pretty sure that's strange because I'm watching the YouTube. Why don't I see any numbers on YouTube? I'm here. We're here. Really? Some days I can't even with the technology. Something's up this morning. Something is definitely up this morning. All right. Well, we're going to go with the flow. We know something is wrong, and we're going to just watch it. So strange. Okay, you guys are there. I don't see you in my numbers, which is really, really weird. All right. Wow. It's weird. Uh-huh. All right, let's just keep going. Yeah, everybody said you're on YouTube and you're fine. All right. Well, it's very, very bizarre. Okay. So odd. All right. So anyway, what I wanted to say was that I can't even remember what the heck I was saying. What was I saying? My brain has just been thrown off by this little tech issue. Anyway, what the heck was I saying? Oh, yes. So a lot of people have been thanking me. A police officer stopped me and he said, there was someone who was assaulted. A Nepalese guy was assaulted down by so-and-so in Georgetown. And we know that assault is connected to, this situation. And so the wild part is, right? There are other crimes that are being committed against these people as a result of this fraudulent work permit situation. That's why I don't want anyone to take this lightly. This isn't just about, the Cayman Islands is being defrauded of some money, or we're bringing in people who don't even have employment. No, there's a much bigger picture here. And the bigger picture here, folks, is that we're being defrauded. I mean, yeah, okay, that has a place, but whatever, really. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that these poor people are jeopardizing their property. He was saying how someone had put up their property in the Philippines to be able to get here. And when you can't pay it, they'll take your property from you in the Philippines. The wife had a heart attack when she found out that the husband had put up the property to be able to come to the Cayman Islands and then wasn't able to pay these people quick enough or within the time frame that they claimed that it needed to be paid back. And so they're taking people's land back home. They're having them go to loan sharks back home, right? They're coming here and they're so stressed out over their financial situation because under normal circumstances, it's not easy to make it in the Cayman Islands. Imagine if you, on top of the living expenses that you have to pay here, you're expected to send money back home to your family. And then on top of that, you owe Lamardo and his wife all of this money, right? For a work permit. And for some people, I'm hearing it's all $10,000 plus CI that they're paying to come to the Cayman Islands. And then they have a certain period of time that they have to pay it over. It is just next level crazy, right? And so these are the things that are happening to these poor people. And they're stressed out. They're committing suicide. Think about it. We've had a few come here and commit suicide. And it's all over this debt that they just can't they just cannot take the stress. And if you got loan sharks going after your people back home and you're the reason why, you can imagine the stress that must put you under. So this is a very, I don't want, I don't know who in government has been asleep at the wheel. But to me, these violations are extremely egregious. And we fully understand Michael Miles knew exactly what he was talking about last November when he talked about human trafficking. And for members of the previous government to completely discard that and talk about, oh, he owes them an apology. No. You, Juliana O'Connor Conley, yes, I can call out my little friend Kenneth because he had something to say about it too. You all are the ones who owe the people of the Cayman Islands an apology for getting us mixed up in this hot mess and evidently not even being willing to believe it. They're in such a state of disbelief, which I don't know why, because they know what's going on. They should know that WRC has been investigating these matters, right? You guys are the ones who need to be held accountable for this as well. You won't even admit it. So it takes Michael Miles and we all sit here looking at Michael like he's crazy. No, y'all are the crazy ones for allowing this to happen right underneath your noses for how many years? This has been a buildup. These people have been at this a hot minute. It's just too much. And so we're going to continue, right, on this trail. We are not going to give up. We got another one being featured that's coming. They're all antsy and in their feelings right now. I see people are sending me translations in the Filipino groups and communities about what they're saying, like who's talking tomorrow. And if you guys call my name, I'm going to sue you. Go right ahead, honey child. Start suing people if you think you're bright. Because we know what y'all are up to. And enough is enough. So, we are not going to stop the expose. Let it be known. You're one of those people in Cayman, one of those illegal recruiters. We are coming for you. And in fact, it had me thinking over the weekend about really and truly what should be done about this. Do we need to clamp down on all recruitment agencies now? I mean, are we at the place where we need to say you can't even have a license to recruit from certain countries? That we're not going to allow you all to take out work permits. The only control that we have, quite frankly, is on the permit side of things. So let me put on a little bit of lip gloss, folks. That's the only control that we have, right? But their governments are trying to crack down on the other end by canceling their business licenses and stuff, and they're still finding a workaround. And they have a lot of people working with them to defraud the government and to get this done because it's a money-making scheme. And everybody getting a little cut. Oh, for every person you refer to, Lamardo, you might get $200, $300, whatever, and you're part of the problem. Y'all need to stop it. Seriously. All right. This person says they should go back home. Then honestly, I have no sympathy for the Nepalese. Sorry. Now I hear you, but I want you to understand that whilst victims can be willing participants, like I said, the closest thing for you to understand kind of how this works is the analogy of being a pimp and a prostitute. P&P. Because, it's the same type of relationship. So prostitutes are not always willing. I mean, a lot of times they really are not, but circumstances have forced them into this life. And once you get in it, you're in it. So I understand why a lot of people do not see them as victims and why a lot of people will then blame them for being in the predicament that they're in and have zero empathy. I get it. I hear you. However, a lot of times they do not fully understand what it is that they're in for, right? Somebody tells you, you have to pay a fee to come to the Cayman Islands. and they're going to take care of you, right? They claim they're going to have jobs for you. They're going to do this. A lot of those people don't know. Oh, that when they come, they're going to just let me loose and I have to find my own job. That they're just getting me here on a 3-month work permit and then that's it. So there's certain components that they don't know. And, we treat them for the purposes of the system. We do treat them as victims. I understand why you say, I'm feeling sorry for them, Sandy, because they know what they're getting into. They don't always fully understand what they're getting into and their level of desperation. I want to say this because unless you have truly been desperate in life, which, a lot of Caymanians haven't, we think we are. We think we're living this life where, I know hardship. Let me just say that you don't really, not the kind of hardship that these people are facing. So when you have that level of desperation, would you be selling your body? Probably. Would you be, giving up everything you have back there to come to the Cayman Islands? Someone was sharing yesterday, I can't remember where I saw that, about, I think it might have been Beto. Beto shared something on Facebook where it was saying how, what an amazing life they can live when they come to the Cayman Islands. Well, that's all a farce, first of all. It ain't that glamorous and it isn't that amazing unless you're like a Michelle. Now, people like Michelle understand how to work it. And you work it by having multiple men who are paying for your lifestyle. But, a lot of times that's not something that you should be esteeming to. I mean, that doesn't really end well for you in a lot of instances. You know what I'm saying? These men are crazy. They're jealous. They'll get violent knowing that you're dating. I mean, you saw the one boyfriend already pouring wine on her food. Other people are probably abusing her, hitting on her. And yeah, she's, I guess, up for that. But those things can end really, really badly. We have seen what jealous men can do, right? So I guess if you're willing to use that strategy, you might have, a life of material things. But look at how you have lessened yourself in life, which, like I said, to her, it's probably not a big deal. She'd be doing the same thing in the Philippines, I guess. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. She was doing it in New York, allegedly. So, I don't feel sympathetic towards her because, she's in a situation where she's happy to be that person who will do whatever it takes and use men and then even defend them in their bad behavior, right? It's just madness. But the exchange rate between the Philippines and Cayman, and I think this was the US dollar, so it's even stronger for the Cayman Islands, is significant. And it's on par with what the exchange rate is for basically Jamaica and Cayman almost, right? So there is an understanding that although you may be making minimum wage, you are still making way more than you could in the Philippines. And then some of them, they'll get into the hotel industry, the hospitality industry where they can work a lot of overtime. But I hear the crazy stories where all of a sudden, they're working for Palm Heights. Name has come up as one of the places that they prefer to go to. Their Nepalese communities there. And they're going to do everything in their power. And this is now where once they get a foot in the door at an establishment, they will then do everything in their power to bring in their friends and family. And this time they don't have to go through the coyotes, right? They don't have to go through the human traffickers like Lamardo and his wife. They can go through the established routes. So it's like you get the one person here in the family, and then that one person is in a position to help everyone else get here. And then they start telling the HR manager, my friend has a resume and my cousin and my wife and my in-laws, and they start bringing everybody. And that's where, not for nothing, but immigration needs to pay attention. WRC needs to pay very, very close attention. Should we have, 30%, 20% of people working in a particular department? And I know the departments aren't paying attention. The companies are not paying attention. that all of a sudden you get one Nepalese person and every single person coming in after that is from Nepal. And then you're getting rid of all of the Jamaicans, the Caymanians, the Canadian, everybody else has to go. That leaves a degree of imbalance in your organizations that I personally would be very, very concerned about. It's no wonder that sometimes when they get in there, like the Ritz-Carlton, they're going to steal your money. Pay attention. They are going to steal millions of dollars, allegedly, of your money through procurement, and nobody is being the wiser, nobody paying attention. How did that even happen? I would love to see the internal investigation on that one. No wonder they had to fire Mark Langerbald or whatever the heck his name is. Is that him? Langer, I always get his name wrong, but former manager there at the Ritz-Carlton. It's not that they thought he had anything to do with it, but they're like, dude, who was asleep at the wheel? You're the general manager. You're allowing all these people to come in and be hired on your watch, and they're up to no good. And you don't even know that they're stealing millions of dollars from the Ritz? Honey child, I could have just been a fly on the wall for that conversation. So I'm not going to get into that again today because we got time in the week, honey child. It's a short week, but we've got time. We're going to be circling back to some of these things. But what I wanted to say is that ultimately, lots of things are flowing from this that we need to be paying attention. And so this is not a simple situation at all. All right, here's the, I was looking for this image. Here's the image where this person is talking about what is rich in the Philippines. So this Filipino woman reveals $1,700 a month is very rich in her country. And that's 1,700 US dollars. So imagine if they can come here and make a few grand. Big shout out to Sarah Sue and Cayman Brack. She says, imagine $1 US is 84 cents KYD. Our currency is stronger, and we have a very large Filipino community in the Cayman Islands. Marrying a Caymanian is like finding gold. Poor sufferers. So there is that. And somebody else replied and said, JC replied and said that I lived in Georgetown from 2010 to 2022, and I can attest to your story. And then someone replies to Sarah Sue, says, are you offering? Because between Cayman beaches and your eyes, I can be in a flight from Miami in the morning. Lord have mercy. No, sir. He not easy. Sarah Sue, please tell him that you're happily married. What a hot mess. So yeah, I mean, this is no joke. $1,700 a month in their country is a lot of money. Wild. I mean, that can barely give you a pot to, you know what, and in Cayman. But anyway, there you have it, and that's why they make the sacrifice. And, listen, I admire the sacrifice. I'm not going to lie, right? I admire people who go abroad because I've done it myself. And so part of me is sympathetic for that reason as well, because I've been through this at a different level. Obviously, I was a kid, but I knew the struggles of wanting better for myself. I knew why I was sent abroad, why I was sent overseas. And so part of me understands their plight and I'm sympathetic towards it, but you got to do things the right way. You can't ever enter a country in the way in which we're allowing them to come in. And they're doing it the right way, but it's fraudulent. The whole process is fraudulent. All right. Let's talk about the next matter I want to get to this morning because the time is a ticking. And we have to end on time today. I'm supposed to go to court. Yay! Yay me! These people can waste my time. But anyway. Last week, I think it was Friday, we shared a video from a mother who said that her daughter was being molested, sexually assaulted. And what I want to say is I saw the video, it was shared, and I reshared it. And then I decided to take the video down, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Anytime someone comes forward talking about abuse, especially of children, you guys already know where my heart is on this, right? I get very, very emotional about this. I'm constantly fighting for us to do better when it comes to our children, because we have to do better. However, there are times when what's going on, there's more to it than what meets and what's obvious to the average person. And I have a responsibility to dig, like the little detective that I am, to figure out what is going on. I mean, the post went up. She didn't call any names. But a lot of people seem to be very, very familiar with this young lady. And so when I started getting phone calls, right? When I started getting phone calls, I said, okay, out of an abundance of caution, I need to dig deeper into this, and I'm going to take the video down. I have since discovered a lot. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to say that the mother reached out to me, and I said to her on Friday, because in the post I did say, if anyone knows who this is, and I did say to her, listen, if this is an active court matter, because she said something about, she was just at court. And I said, okay. I said, if this is an active court matter, then I really feel like you should allow this to play out. That was my advice, because we didn't know in the video. And I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play a voice note from her, and then I'm going to play the video. And there was an expletive in it, which I've had someone extract for me. So let me just do them both to put it in context. So if you didn't see the video, I'm going to play that now. It was almost like a snippet of a larger video. And so let me show you, just to refresh your memory on what was shared. Let me just see it here. And the expletive has been removed from the original video that we had, right? Which is just like a couple minutes. And then apparently that was part of a longer, I guess somebody screen grabbed it. I'm not really even sure, right? Because I understand that she's since taken down some other profile that she had. And we have a problem here, and we need to have a coming to Jesus moment this morning about this entire situation. As passionate as I am about protecting children, especially when it comes to abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, I'm also as passionate about anyone who could potentially be utilizing the system to their advantage to make up a story. Because when you do that, you are hurting every single victim out there. Nobody gains from you not telling the truth. That is I cannot tell you how dangerous that is to victims, right? Every victim who's ever fought to be heard. When you hear one person who has stretched the truth, lied, they weren't really assaulted, doing stuff with children. I understand that this is becoming much more prevalent in Cayman, where parents, in particular mothers, are using their children, right, as a pawn. And they're making up stories and really grooming their children to be dishonest and to tell lies that they have been molested. And there's just as egregious as I feel about the crime. I'm not going to say that this is as bad, but it's almost as bad. And a person should go to jail for doing this sort of thing. This is how I feel about this. If you wrongfully accuse someone of molesting a child, you should be in jail. Listen.
And that's a thing. And that's what I'm saying. You see what somebody put here? I got pinned the comment for 2 minutes. Long time. Them with a skinny backside. Thank you for the fun. Long time. It's just so sad. So sad. And once again, I'm going to tell them this because 67 people on this live now. You're not failing me. You're not failing me. You're failing the future of tomorrow. You hear what I'm telling you? You failing the future of tomorrow. And Lala and everybody, that's why I've been distant off the live. Not only that I've been working and thing, and I gotta get up from 5 in the morning, get my children ready, get myself ready, and be at work for 8:30. But the thing is, this thing you play, yo, let me tell you something now, Virgin. When I hear rape and them thing there, because that's practically rape, Sagittarius rape. If I'm lying, if I'm wrong, it's not the first time. It's been going on for a while now. But I didn't know. Let me tell you reason why I did. Watch out, this thing still on top of me.
Sticker?
Yeah. See? I was hospitalized for it. This is the next one. But then with the other one I throw away just now. I don't want him to think so the same when we pick back up and I show them.
All right. So this mother is accusing someone of, I mean, poor thing, she couldn't really pronounce the word, but good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Sandra. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday morning.
Yeah, so I was at a doctor's appointment, but I felt imperative that I call regarding the scamming details that people are sharing, sending to people's phone about flow $5,000. I'm saying to people, stop opening these links. We have been warned repeatedly about the scammers. Once you open that, they are able to hack your accounts, get your personal details, and I'm not sure why in this day and age that we have seen it. You have spoken about it on the phone. The police have sent out messages and alerts, and people are still sharing it. Stop sharing this nonsense. If Flo has $5,000 to give you, I guess they'll if you're a customer, they'll ask you to come down and then give you whatever they need to give you. It is becoming. I mean, you wake up and you see all these messages, and people are clicking on the link. Yeah. So I'm just calling. People should be aware. This is no game. We need to stop this nonsense. You need $5,000, go work for it or find some way to get it, but stop this free business because it's wrong. It's so wrong. And it's annoying.
All right, my dear.
It's annoying.
Thank you very
I just
much.
wanted to let you know. And another thing too, as we go about our Easter season and all the celebrations, just be aware that there are people out there driving young women down, flashing their lights, or doing flashing the headlights just so they can stop to have conversation, and then it goes, especially the young kids. So I'm just telling people, this message this morning is to be aware.
Thank you, my dear.
All righty. Thank you for your platform.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. I do want us to, time is limited this morning. We've got the ministers coming on at 9:00. So I do really want us to stay on topic because this is probably going to take up the rest of the conversation today. But I thank you for the warning to that caller. So, yes, honestly, it is very, very disturbing that a mother would make allegations of this nature if there's no evidence to it. And in fact, I can tell you, and I want you guys, I'm going to let you listen to a voice note now, because there is so much more going on here that is just absolutely shocking, right? So let's listen to the voice note. I did reach out. Like I said, the mother reached out. I spoke to her and I told her if this is an active court situation, because she said she had been to court, that she was in court earlier. And I said to her, if this is an active matter, I need you to leave this alone, because you need to ensure that you allow the court system to do what it has to do. Okay. You shouldn't be. And when she said she was in court, here I am thinking, I'm thinking that it must be the situation where she is actually, this is like the criminal proceeding, whatever. I have discovered that there is no criminal proceeding. And this is where this whole situation now is all sorts of confused and messed up. And it is my responsibility to bring you all something called facts here today. So let me have you, first of all, listen to the first message. And one of the things that, quite frankly, you should know by now, that one of the worst things you can do when it comes to me personally, both in my personal capacity and my capacity of what I do on this platform, is to lie to me. I mean, listen, I come and beg me to listen to your story, whatever, but never lie to me, because once you lie to me and you undermine your credibility, because you only have to do it once. And once I discover that there's a lie, everything then becomes suspicious. And I start to dig like I'm digging for gold, like real gold, like the biggest gold bar ever. And we got a problem because I dug. And when I tell you I have notes, not a word a lie, may have notes from now until Jesus is coming on this situation. And it does not look good for the mother at all. Let's listen to the voice note first, up from Friday.
Hello, good afternoon. This is the mother of the 8-year-old with the video that's been circulating. First off, I would like to say thank you for sharing the video on your platform, reposting it. Really appreciate it. I had court today, so I'm a bit emotional. So by Monday, I can speak with you if you don't mind, and I hope you understand. Have a blessed day, Miss Sandra. Thank you so much.
All right. So the first thing is, when you hear someone say that they have court today, what does that mean to you? And just common language, if that was just me and you having a conversation, you said, I had a court today. That means that you actually showed up to court, right? That means that you were in court. Did she show up to court on Friday? No. There was actually 2 court matters relating to her children. None of them a criminal court. They're all about the care of her children. So let me tell you what I do know. She has had over the years a lot of struggles in the parental category. She has 6 children, and the vast majority of her children have either been the subject of some kind of custody order or care order, which means the court has taken them, other people have taken them trying to help her, right? It's just like a whole situation. The courts have essentially, not the courts, but I mean, yes, through the orders, DCFS have basically said that she's an unfit mother on more than one occasion, and that her children, including this child, which, let me say this, she talks about the fact that the child is 8 years old. The child is not even 8 years old. So how you don't even know how old your own child is? You're doing a video on social media, right? And you don't even know how old your child is. It's kind of concerning. So we're talking about an 8-year-old has been molested by a 20-something-year-old. You don't know how old he is, and you don't even know how old your child is. Your child is not 8 years old. Right now, the child is 7. And when you claim that these things, when you made the report against these individuals, your child was actually 6 years old. What? I need to give you really and truly the facts here, because without the facts, you are not in a position to truly appreciate what I have discovered. And now, quite frankly, what is happening here, right? This mother has been found to be unfit. She herself has admitted. She's talking about, she's went to work and all this kind of stuff. What job? Because up to the other day, you were going to DCFS asking them for assistance finding a job because you don't have a job. And you say that you're trying, but you can't find a job. You didn't even have clothes to wear to a job. I'm not saying this to try to make this woman look bad. I'm saying this to say that we are being manipulated and we are being lied to left, right, and center. And you cannot do that to people in the community. I'm just finding my notes here. Give me 1 second, because this is not the one that I'm looking for. Trying to find my notes. But, you know, you cannot lie to people in the community with these little videos and not think that people are going to find out. Like, how do you think you were going to pull this one over our eyes? I'm a little bit confused here. You actually thought that this was somehow going to work in your favor, that nobody wasn't going to dig any deeper? Well, maybe some of the sites were not going to do so. But once it reaches Ma Road, we're going to dig out and we're going to find out exactly what's going on. The 20-something-year-old that she makes mention of in this situation was never even questioned by the authorities. That is how little weight her allegations had. The authorities, the police, did not even call this man in for an interview. You know why? Because the little child, her story was so weak when they called her in. Her story was literally falling apart at the point where, quite frankly, they were like, this child, she don't even know who molested her. She's naming other people, right? So it became very, very obvious to them that she was being groomed. Now, isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? That this child is being groomed by her own mother. That is what they came to in terms of a conclusion. I'm just like, what? Yes. They determined that her own mother had groomed her. She started to get very easily confused. She couldn't give any details. All she could say is that someone had touched her privates, and they're like, what does that mean? In the end, the child admitted that nobody had touched her privates, that sometimes she touches her privates herself because she says it gets a little bit itchy. So I'm confused. There's a lot here. There's a lot that has been going on for years. So let's talk about this specific child, and then I'm going to talk about the broader parenting issues, right? This specific child, the mother has never had care of. When she was pregnant with the child, she wasn't even sure that she wanted the child. She said she didn't want it. She already had enough kids. She couldn't afford the kids. She couldn't take care of the kids. Since then, she's had 2 more. And let me stick a little note in here. This is why in this country, we need to start seriously thinking about permanent birth control for these girls. If you have 2 kids right now and you have no job, you're living off of social services, right? You don't have a plan to get your life together. You should not be, because obviously you're not responsible enough. You should not be in a position to have any more children. Now, I know y'all not gonna like this. Oh, human rights and this and that. But what about our human rights? Those of us who have to take care of these children. Those of you who are going to have to foster these children. And if you think that the foster care system is an easy road for these children, you better think again. First of all, nobody wants them in their home. Right now, this little girl, nobody don't want her. She was in a home, and because of her mother's allegations, right? That mother no longer wants this child in her home because she's not going to have a child in her home who would make such allegations against her son. So she's like, no. DCFS begging the woman to take her back, and she said, no, I'm not. Take this child. And you can understand, right? You can imagine somebody coming in my household and making an allegation in my house, and then y'all gonna beg me to take this child back? I'd be like, under what moon are y'all crazy? No. It's a whole situation. So the mother never had the child. She didn't want the child. She went through with the pregnancy because I guess in Cayman, abortions are still not legal. Rethink it, folks. Because in some instances, I'm sorry, but really and truly, rethink it. I mean, I'm all about prevention first. tie them off so they can't have any. But when they're still getting pregnant and having these unwanted kids who now their lives are going to be destroyed, maybe y'all need to think about the plan B. Like, seriously. Right? You're bringing this child into a world where you're smoking and drinking, exposing the child to domestic violence, to drugs. All of this, the court knows. All of this, DCF knows. This is all very well documented. So from 2 months, this woman, who, by the way, had taken another one of her children. Now, let me show you how crazy this is, right? For this mother to get on and put on this act about how, oh, my 8-year-old, like I said, a child not even 8, was raped or sexually assaulted or statutory rape or whatever, but put it in perspective. She had actually made the exact same allegation before with her oldest daughter against this woman in her household before. So what kind of mother, if that was true, right? And now you all up in arms, you're going to be fighting for your daughter. The system not going to fail you. They're not going to fail your children. They're not going to fail the next generation of Caymanians. This is the third time she's made such an allegation against someone with her children. Okay? One of the 3 before was with the same woman. I'm looking like, what? You got to be a little bit too much of a saint for somebody to make that serious of an allegation against you, and they could still bring you another child, another baby, and be like, oh, help me out with this one because this one ain't got nowhere to go. And you would take that child into your household knowing that this same person has accused a member of your household before of sexual molestation, and then it wasn't true then? You know what they say about the little kid who cried wolf? No one is going to believe you. How many times are you going to be crying wolf before we need to look at you and see that something is wrong with you? Then she also accuses 3 of the children have the same father. She accuses him of molesting one of the children as well. There's a pattern of behavior here that is very, very obvious, and it is alarming. I gotta take out my little notes here. Okay? Because this is shocking. I have 15 pages of notes that I've been managed to take, and I can't go through every single detail, so I will pick and choose some of it. So you lie about being in court on Friday. There was court for the children because, like I said, this woman now, whose son was accused of molestation, she's like, take away the residence order. I want nothing further to do with this child. This poor child her life is now going to be a hot mess. And this is where the generational curse continues, right? She accuses this man of touching her daughter in her privates. The daughter's interview falls apart. The ABA, which is the, I forget, but best evidence interview. The daughter can't keep her story consistent. At a second interview, she actually starts to basically say, the mother told me to say this. She admits she's in foster care in somebody else's home, right? She's overheard telling those children that nothing ever happened to her. Nobody ever touched her. Sometimes she touches herself because it gets a little bit itchy in her privates. And her mother was the one who actually told her to say these things. That is why the accused, this isn't about getting justice for your child. The accused has never been interviewed because the so-called evidence is so flimsy. Medical examinations showed nothing. Multiple medical examinations showed nothing. You see how incredibly dangerous this type of thing is? And it falls on me as someone who's an advocate for children to tell you that there are mothers out there who will unfortunately abuse the system and lie on people to get what they want. And she should be in jail, if you ask me. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Auntie Sandy. It's Johan. How's it going?
Morning, Johan.
Hey, listen, you have always been a champion for kids and the persons that are underprivileged and so on and so forth. I'm only calling in to ask you, you've made your point. There's obviously many things that are wrong with the mom and whatever life, but that's for professionals to deal with. I'm just asking you to bear in mind that the mother is now, her identity is out in the open, and she's said and done whatever she's done in her life, and I don't give two bits or pieces about that. But those children and that little girl, this is a small community where people are going to be able to point fingers and identify, and none of those children deserve that. So you've made your point, and all I'm saying to you, it's your show, it's your life. But if we want to help the children, I think you've exposed the lady for what she is, and she obviously needs professional medical help and possibly worse, but that's for the courts to decide. But now, in beating the drum and exposing her children, because somebody can go to school with those children, somebody can know, and they're going to be able to point and say, that would have won, and that's how Cayman society is. And for whatever negatives and bad things that are happening in those children's lives, they don't need their personal circumstances exposed on CMR because their mom is whatever she is, and that's to be determined by professionals and by the court. So that's just me as a parent speaking to you as a parent, and I know you're coming at it with the best intentions, but the only real person that are going to get hurt by this, or persons to get hurt by this, are those children, however many children she has, and ultimately they shouldn't have to suffer because their mom has significant issues, so on and so forth. So that's a plea from me to you as a parent. You've made your point. You've done it fantastically, and that woman should be investigated, arrested, and charged accordingly. But let's spare the children any more embarrassment, in my humble opinion. And I think there'll be a lot of people out there that would agree with that. So have a great day. Take care.
All right, Johan, appreciate it. Well, I can tell you, people are commenting and messaging me, and they're saying to tell Johan to shut up. We want to hear the rest of the story. So I'm not sure how many people are going to agree with you, but anyway, Evelyn says she has exposed herself. You see, here is the problem with us here in Cayman. Why we don't ever really get to the crux of an issue, right? While you're focused on, oh, no, we don't need any details because, we're going to make her look bad as a mother and potentially expose her children. Her children are being exposed every single day to some of the most dire situations that no child should be exposed to. And we all get to sit back comfortably, right? And not be bothered by the details of what she is doing and by what her children are being exposed to, because, oh yeah, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, she lied. Let's just move on. No, you guys need to understand how there are children in Cayman who are suffering, and they're growing up in environments that no child should be in. And so if you don't understand the magnitude of that, it is easier for you to bury your head in the sand, as most Caymanians really prefer to do. That ain't my business, and I don't really care. Right? When you understand that she's never had custody of this child, that this woman at 2 months took the child, there was a resident order in place, and she has taken care of this child for the first 6 to 7 years of her life. The mother would not even come and visit the child. It wasn't that important. Occasionally she would pop up. Because you see, the next video she make that we might all fall for and start to believe it, now you're going to go, wow, there are parents out there who actually do that? Who care so little? Even if you're not financially able to take care of your child, as sometimes we're not, somebody else picks up the slack for you and they're able to do it. That's amazing. That's wonderful. But as small as Cayman is, you can't show up. My apologies. You can't show up and go visit your child. You can't at least let your child know that you've got a mother. Like, I care for you at some level. I'm just not in a financial position with the other 6 children. No. So I hear you, Johan, but I also know that a lot of people just don't care about these situations because this is not something that is impacting them one way or the other. So they're like, yeah, okay, we get it. She's a horrible mother. Let's move on. No, let's not move on. Because what we have had is a video that has now gone viral, that thousands of people have seen, right? where this mother has accused somebody else's child of doing something to one of her children. This is the third time now that she has levied such accusations. 6 children, and she's not even 30 years old yet. So she could have another 6. We are paying to support her, right? She's on DFA. We are paying to support these children. They're all of them at some point or another have been taken away from her and put in care of other people in the foster home system. So these are some of the things that we need to be very, very honest about. And why would she do something like this? Why would a mother ever do something like this? Oh, because the resident care order, that woman was going to request adoption of the child so that when she travels, she could take the child with her. And this isn't a situation where she's having to leave her here. And there's all sorts of, things going on with the birth certificate and issues there and whatever. So this allegation came up literally 2 months after there was a request or suggestion that, okay, let's start with the adoption process. You guys need to understand how these things work. We all need to be a little bit wiser as to what is happening in our communities. This mother, yes, has gone through the system herself. She's not making very good decisions with her own life. And now that's going to trickle down to another generation of children. This doesn't stop by us going, oh, okay, we get it. Let's move on. I'm sorry, but it really doesn't. When are we going to say to young ladies like this, you cannot be in a position where you continue to have children, you refuse to work, you're sitting down all day smoking marijuana, you've got a boyfriend who sits on all day with you doing the exact same thing, then you can jump on a live, claim that you have a job, which you don't, right? Well, at least you're telling DFA that you don't have a job, that you can't find employment. Nobody in your family is willing to take the children. There's no one there to help you. And when someone does, and this is what works against the entire placement system, when someone does decide to take a child, all of a sudden they have to deal with this kind of foolishness, accusations in their household. Like, seriously? You know how hard it is for DCFS and I guess they're the appropriate agency to find foster care for these children. And I'm telling you, the child's in foster care right now, and the foster care she's in, they no longer want her because she's influencing their younger children. And they don't want that because she's already been groomed by her mother to lie. And once you do that, you have children who, at the age of 6, if you're teaching a child how to lie, yeah, they're going to become liars. And no one is going to want a foreign child in there. And I say foreign in terms of it's not, the child is not, it's a foster care situation. No one's going to want a foster child in their home who's constantly lying. What is she going to lie about next? Instability, unsafe living conditions. The children are not even going to school. Their school attendance when they're with the mother suffering. Domestic violence, drugs, exposure to all of these things. It is very, very unfortunate. Morning, are you calling to get on the show? 936-2626 is the show number. 936-2626. Yes, thank you. It is just unbelievable. Really and truly. We are failing our children, and it seems like we're not fully cognizant of how that's being done. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. So yeah, with everything being said there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a point. Some areas and some areas you don't. because the main focus here is the child.
Mhm.
Yes, the mother could have failed the child in many ways or not been there or what may be the case, right?
Mhm.
But an 8-year-old child was molested, and this is what you have to come
that's not true. First of all, she's not 8, so let's be very, very clear. And number 2, when she was 6 years old, when the allegations were being made, there is no evidence to suggest that the allegations were true. So you can't keep saying that an 8-year-old child was molested when the MASH unit they did not even find enough evidence, and the child has since admitted that nothing happened to her, nobody touched her. So how can you keep saying that an 8-year-old child was molested? In what world do you think you can say that? That's not true. Everything points to the fact that it isn't true. There's no medical examination. There's no medical professionals that think that it's true. The detectives don't think that it's true that interviewed the child. All of the professionals, you've got police, DCFF, all these professionals have been around the child, have interviewed the child. The child, when she was not around the mother, she was not around this other foster mother, has retracted her story, has told other children that it is not true. So how can you get on the radio and say that the 8-year-old was molested?
because we have proof. Because she told
What
several
proof?
people.
What proof?
She told other family members as well. So because there's no penetration, as they say.
No, that's not. Listen, I'm going to tell you that the reports and the interviews do not support that position. And what I would suggest, if you honestly believe this, all you have to do is go get the reports from the professional for yourself and read through what their findings were for every single interview and see what they have said. That's why no one has ever been even interviewed in relation to this. He's never been arrested. He's never been interviewed. Nothing has come from this whatsoever.
Yes, because his mom is high up in government. That's why. So his people have connections where they can just, bury everything.
No, honey, child. High up in government where? She's like a clerical worker in a government department. That's not high up in no government. That's just an average job. She not nobody special.
She's not a manager.
Listen, I want you to listen very carefully to me. If the evidence does not support it, who are you in relation to the child? You're the mother?
No.
Okay. Why didn't she show up in court on Friday?
The mother was hospitalized.
Okay, so why would she send me a voice note saying that she was in court on Friday?
She sent you a voice note. She was in court on Friday.
All right. You've not been listening to the show. You've not been listening to the show. I'm going to play it for you because, like I said, once a person starts to lie, that's where they lose all credibility with me. So now you're saying she was in the hospital on Friday. That's why she couldn't go to court. But listen to this.
Hello, good afternoon. This is the mother of the 8-year-old with the video that's been circulating. First off, I would like to say thank you for sharing the video on your platform, reposting it. Really appreciate it. I had court today, so I'm a bit emotional. So by Monday, I can speak with you if you don't mind, and I hope you understand. Have a blessed day, Miss Sandra. Thank you so much.
All right. So she had court on Friday, but yet she was hospitalized. Which is it?
Well, I can't speak for her to be honest, but
I think that's where you need to stop the conversation.
But she did post up videos where she was in the hospital. Bear in mind, right? Look at this. All right, just look at this now. Why would she lie about something like that? Like, come on now. Why would she even lie about something like that?
Well, this is the third time, so you tell me.
The third time? This is the first time I hear it?
Okay. You see what I'm saying? This is where you don't jump in and defend people when you're not even paying attention to the show. This is the third time she has accused people, different people, right? Twice for this same person, apparently, of molesting her child. So let me ask you a question. You're a mother? If you accuse somebody of molesting your child before, why would you turn around and put a newborn female girl child in that same household again? Would you do that? No.
So what you're saying, she accused someone
she's accused one of the child's fathers right? The one that had the 3 kids, she's accused him of molesting another child. This same household, because this same woman has helped her with another child. And
Sandra, she did not accuse the father. The children was living with the father at the time. When everything went down, the mother was not aware of what was going on then. So how she's going to accuse the father? The children was dropped off later to my sister, because it's my sister. The children were dropped off later to my sister saying this is what took place. How is she accusing him though? Like that, I'm making no sense. She didn't even have any knowledge of what was going on. So
well, just like she didn't with this child. For the first time ever, she takes the child. Let me also put something to you, okay? She takes this little girl now that she claims is being molested for 2 weeks. All right. The entire first week, no allegations. Most of the second week, no allegations. The night before, the child was supposed to be returned into the resident home. All of a sudden, she then calls the police and says, oh, the child just told her this after 2 weeks of being with her. She doesn't make the accusations the first week, the second week, literally the night before. All of this makes any sense to you? It just doesn't even add up. I mean, pick sense from nonsense.
What if that's when she realized? Because you know the funny thing about it? We spoke about this as a family. My mom, which is 65, she would never lie for my sister. She can literally get on the phone right now and tell you exactly what the little girl told my sister.
Yes, because the little girl has been groomed. If you get, this is why I want to encourage you guys as a family, since you're going to defend your sister, you need to get a copy of the reports for yourself and read what the experts have said. You can get tell your sister to show you the interview from the detectives who actually interviewed your niece, and you can see for yourself.
I've seen it, and what I'm looking at is because my sister is unemployed. She's on financial unstable.
No, that don't have nothing to do with the actual interview.
Sandra, hold on. Let me get my point out. Mm-hmm. On the interview, it says the child is lying. There's no allegations about the molestation, but yet they switched that on top of my sister saying how what kind of delusional sick person would tell a child to say something like that? Like, come on. I
ask yourself, but listen, sister, listen to me now. She's accused this person before. This is the second time and the second child. What? Ran out of credit? I'm not sure. But why would you put another child in that home if you actually believe that something happened to a previous child in that home? None of it don't make no sense. None of it makes sense whatsoever. And when we sit back and we allow people to have these conversations, we allow them to put this stuff in public, and then we defend them. Somebody said that was actually her on the phone, that she is the mother. Well, she said she's her sister, which I don't know. But, it just doesn't make any sense. The child was not able to sustain her version of the story. When they started to question her, she wasn't even sure who touched her. First, it was the guy, then it was his mother, then it was like, I don't know who touched me. No details, no nothing. These people are trained experts. They're trained in interviewing children, and they know what to look for. And she did not meet any of the markers of someone who is telling the truth. In fact, it was the opposite. Their professional conclusion was this is a child who has been groomed to say certain things. Right? It is just absolutely crazy. So the day before she's to bring the child back, that's when she makes the allegations, knowing now that all of a sudden there's going to be an adoption. At first she agreed, saying yes, the adoption would be the best thing for the child. And then no, she doesn't want to return the child. She doesn't want to return the child. She said the government must give her the child back And yet she has nowhere to put the child. Right? Her home is not fit. The conditions of the home are not fit for children to be in the home. So this person says all of this is posted on social media, seen TikTok. A couple months back, she exposed another young man, says that I'll let y'all read that for yourselves, performed a sexual act on her. I'll leave it at that. She is the mother. That's her. That's her. Sandy, she is lying again. She's the mother on the phone. Sandy, it's her. She's the mother and not fooling anyone. Come on. This is just utterly ridiculous. You can't will something like this into existence. Right? The child has been placed in temporary foster homes under the emergency care order. My apologies. And there are other people now who's like, nope, she can't stay in my home. She's lying too much. She's making stuff up. She even, during one of her interviews, the first foster home that she went into, she said it was the boy in that home who had touched her, and he's only a little 2-year-old toddler. You see, if you guys don't know these details, Johan, you really think, oh, this is not a big deal. You know, this is just a little miscommunication, a little mix up. No, it's not. Your child has been saying that all kind of people touch her, and then all of a sudden nobody really touched her. And it's just gone from bad to worse. So that's why that family's like, she got to go. She claiming her 2-year-old touched her. Get her out of here. It's just a really, really sad indictment. Oh, Johan again. Good morning.
Yeah, Sandra, I got a lot of time, respect, and love for you, and we're friends. But if you can't appreciate the point that I was making, that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
All right.
But what you can't do is misinterpret what I said, because if the lady is crazy, if the lady is a liar, if the lady is a habitual whatever, then the system's going to deal with her. And the system's only going to deal with her because she's on your platform and you are making a compelling case. But just because somebody takes a position of, hey, I hear you, Sandra, you've tried to misinterpret or spin and twist what I said in order to fit your narrative, which is fine, but I'm just saying.
How am I misinterpreting? How am I misinterpreting to fit what narrative?
My focus was, Sandra, exactly what I said. The system's going to deal with her. I wrote it on your thing just now, and it's going to deal with her. You know why? You're the only person that can get anybody in the Cayman Islands, government, civil service, police, to do their job. If you don't exist, this thing doesn't even make anybody's radar. So thank God that you have the bravery, the brains, and the fortitude to push these things forward. But when making a point, I understand that you're feeling salty and you need a beating stick. I'm not that, because I agree with the fact that if something is wrong, and obviously there's something wrong with the mom, there's no doubt. She's like a...
And by the way, by all accounts, that was actually her calling in just now, not her sister, she claimed. That was actually her. So everybody's on here is like, that's her, that's her, that's her.
Well, again, the children of that lady owe you a debt of gratitude, because now the police and the system will get involved properly and something will be done. None of us that listen to your show have the benefits of the confidential reports that you get your hands on and so on and so forth. And I wasn't making a point about any of that. I was just making a point of and I made the point, so I don't need to regurgitate it. I was making the point of that kid, those children don't need the full expose because of what their mother has done, or continues to do. The concern was solely about protecting the children. And I know there's no bigger champion for protecting children than you. You've proven that to me over 20, 25 years. You are a soldier and a general. And Johan, take that. Listen, I'm bigger than that. I'm smarter than that. I get your point, but me and you on the same side of this. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm not arguing that we're in different sides. I think that sometimes, and take this as a criticism or not, I mean, we cool, but there are times when you just don't want to hear something because
that's not true. You're misinterpreting.
Okay.
Because that's your
right.
opinion, Sandra.
That is my opinion. That when you're not invested in a topic, you're just like, okay, let's move on to something
Sandra,
else.
When have I never been invested in a topic when it comes to children? Stop talking foolishness. Because the point that I'm making is this: if it was Gigi, if it was Nico, if it was anybody's kid, I'd feel the same way. You know why? Because in our community, the one thing we do is we label and we attach the madness of our parents to our children. And those children grow up being subjected to additional pressure, additional finger pointing, additional things that they had no control over. That was the only point that I'm making.
Okay.
I'm as invested in this kid, your kid, my kid, as anybody else. You know why? Because they're kids. And you and I both know we all grew up where our circumstances weren't great and people took the piss and were horrible and mean. And those situations help to form your character as a teenager, as an adult, and so on and so forth. So again, please don't misrepresent or ever state that I don't care about this. If I didn't care, I wouldn't have called in, Sandra. That's the point that I'm making.
Okay.
And you and I have had this conversation a million times. My concern was the child, the children. The fact that the mother could potentially, based on what you said, told the child, and then you got to say this, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. How come these children still with the mom if the system working? You know,
a lot of them are not. So this is where the details, like I said, become relevant and become important because everything.
Who else besides you got the files and the information?
The mother and all parties.
No. Publicly. Who else? Which one of us that listen to your show every day will know the things that you know? Because when you started the story, it was based solely on her representations on the social media thing. I can't remember which one it was.
This is the point of the show, is to give some details, not necessarily everything, but to give enough details for people to understand. Right?
And then when I called in, you went to your bag of tricks and you pulled out and you started reading the report because what I said didn't jive with what you said or what you felt because you thought that I was trying to move on from the topic. And I'm trying to move on from a topic. Every person that is mean to a child, whether it be your mother, your father, your stepmother, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbor, the gardener, whoever it is, they all deserve the same thing, to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And let's go a step further. If it was your kid or my kid, we would probably attack the person physically and wish death upon them. That's who we are as parents. Yeah? Okay. So please cut that about, well, you didn't want the topic, so you moved on. I was just trying to say that kid is going to grow up with that girl mama, that girl daddy.
And you live in a world where where the people that know don't already know what's going on here. I'm just saying. I mean, let's be real. This, Sandra, like you've rightfully said.
But Sandra, if your cousins know, that's because you're family. But if you go to school and you got some idiot child who's feeling their oats and starts wanting to make fun of people and so on and so forth, how demeaning and how crushing would it be for your kid, my kid, anybody's kid to, that was child on Miss Sandra did her show and her mom did her blah 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 and her dad did her blah 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 blah. That's the only thing that I'm saying because I don't give a shit about the parents. I don't.
I can assure you that the people in their neighborhoods, the children, other children already know. This is nothing that is being kept secret. Your mother gets on TikTok live all the time and makes all sorts of commentaries. Her smoking pot, her doing this. You don't think the community knows? It's just that you and me don't know because we don't follow her on TikTok.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. I can't even rebut that. All I'm saying is you and I are on the same page. So don't use me as some sort of example of Johan didn't care or Johan wanted to move on. I was just doing as I said. But
I appreciate
do what you need to do. And again, thank you for being the person that is prepared to call any and everybody in the system to do their job. Because if you needed to, you could call the Deputy Governor, Franz Madison, now, and he would pick up. And that man don't respond to messages, emails, or phone calls. So you got to be the most powerful person in the Cayman Islands when you can get the Deputy Governor, the Commissioner, the Governor, and anybody else that matters to pick up and address your point. So
I appreciate
on behalf of those of us that watch what you do, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Johan. So that was actually her on the call. Even people on Instagram is like, that's her. Wow. You see, imagine if you can call publicly. Listen how bold you must be. You can call publicly on a talk show and be like, oh, I'm calling for her to defend her. Nobody not defending you but yourself. You're pretending to be your sister. Your own sister won't even take your children and help you out because she got her own problem. She's like, nope, I'm not getting mixed up in this. You're the only person today who could call from another number, hoping that we're not able to trace that number, know that you, but everybody hear the voice. They're like, that's the sister. This person says, and I think the ministers are almost ready. When I see them in their seats, we'll pull them in. There's a good percentage of women who use child abuse allegations to punish fathers and keep children away from a relationship with their fathers. It's detrimental for the children. This person says, shut up, Johan. He's always trying to censor you. Why is she disrupted, my apologies, this child's life? Don't forget, the more kids she has with her, the more services she can get from DFA. And that was a stable home for that child. Ask her if the lady was taking good care of her daughter for all of her life. It's her. Wow. What does Johan want? I think he just, I guess, wanted to clarify. Okay. Good morning. Why Johan doesn't go over to Radio K-Man or Compass Media for the feel good stories? OMG. Will people listen to the show before calling in, for Christ's sake? Lad, you can't reason with this level of ignorance, says this other person. So that was actually her calling in, trying to defend herself. And there is no defense. You lied to me saying that you were actually in court. Now you're coming on the show lying about, oh yeah, but she was in the hospital. Then why did you tell me that you were in court on Friday? Like, everything that's coming out of your mouth seems to be a lie, and that's a problem. So once again, that undermines everything that you say and you do. Another listener to the program shared something here. Let me just see. This says Munchausen syndrome by proxy. I think we've all heard of this before. And if you haven't, it is a very serious condition where basically, and normally it's a mother that does it, quite ironically enough, but someone connected to the child. It's now commonly referred to as factitious disorder imposed on another, FDIA, or medical child abuse. It's a rare form of abuse where a caregiver, usually a mother, fakes, exaggerates, or induces illness in a child or other dependent under their care. But this is actually like an illness. That's not quite what this is. This is something else where you're just fabricating and lying to be able to get your way. And sadly, once again, her position is she's not in a place to keep her children. So she may have one or two right now, but at some point or another, they've all been taken away from her because there's serious concerns about what is happening in her own household, right? There's been reports of she's accusing her own brother of assaulting her. She's accusing, other people, uncles are in the house with her children, and she's accusing them of stuff. So her household, she took the child from what was, by all accounts, a stable home, a stable household, and now wants custody of the child herself to put her in an unstable home. And the authorities, the experts, are not going to do that. So the next best alternative is to put the child in foster care, and she's already starting to struggle in foster care. She was doing fine in school. She, had cooked meals. She was getting clothes, cleaned, everything. In fact, when the mother made this allegation, they had to go to the resident order home and say, oh, give us a couple weeks of clothing because now the child can't come back to you. We have to put her in an emergency care situation. So the mother didn't even have any clothes to send with the child. They had to go beg the woman that the mother's accusing her son of doing something to the child to, oh, can you give her some of her clothes? It is just unbelievable. And women who are making these allegations need to know that as a community, I see there are guests already, we're going to pull them in. As a community, we're not going to sit back and just listen to your made up stories. Doing a TikTok video isn't going to cut it. Because other people have reported all of your other TikTok videos. Now you've taken that account down. Go look for yourself. The account that video was initially posted on does not even exist anymore. Because on that account, you can see the pot smoking videos. You can see her talking about what men are doing to her and all this kind of stuff. The house door is like a revolving, door of men coming and going around these young children. How is that any better of an environment or safer of an environment for your children? You're going to be called out when you put your business out in the streets. Yes, we're going to call you out for it, because this is a small community and you're trying to destroy the reputation of other people making very, very serious allegations against them. So when your allegations fall apart because, wow, we figure out you're a very dishonest person. You can't even be honest about the fact that there was two court matters on Friday referencing your children, and you did not even bother to show up. That's how much you care. But yet you're doing a big time video about you want to get justice for your children? Really? If you want justice for your children, you'd be doing better. On that note, we got to switch gears, honey child. Thank you so much, Johan, and everybody else for your contributions. We appreciate Johan. It's fine. One quick point, which is what Sarah makes. I agree. She says, this is what scares me. If anyone has a riff, they will accuse with our child. They can just accuse them of wrongdoing. Damage is done to the accused by the time it's found out not to be true. Samash also says this is why people do not want to do foster care, because of these same types of parent. And I can tell you, Samash, that there have been times that I myself have thought, I've only got one daughter. I can certainly afford another one if I wanted to. And I've thought about, adopting or fostering a child. And then I slap myself, like in those Chinese movies, pop, 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 because I'm like, what am I thinking? I can't foster a child. To have to deal with this level of madness and somebody making these types of accusations against someone in my household. I'm not going to disrupt my own household and put my child, my husband, or myself through trauma trying to help somebody else. And isn't that horrible to have to think that way? But when we have parents like this is exactly what's happening. I think the foster care system needs to be relooked at. And what we need to do is when you put them in a foster home, the parent shouldn't even know where they're at or who they're with, as sad as that sounds, because all they do is cause havoc in people's homes. Anyway, we have an important announcement here this morning, and we are pleased to have this be a bit of an exclusive. You guys know we love exclusives around here. Put your virtual hands together. Let's welcome the Honorable Premier, Mr. Andre Ebanks, and the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Ralston Anglin. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning.
Sorry for you to come on the heels of a heated conversation, but good morning.
It's always hot on CMO.
I know. Temperature.
Yeah. Sandra, as long as you take your deep breaths and quickly take a time out to do your squats and just forget all about that, and now we'll get on to some other business, some good news.
But the squats have to be on camera. We need transparency.
Oh, good one.
I know, that's a good one. That is a good one. So thank you both so much for joining us this morning. We've got what came as a bit of a surprise to me when I saw this. It was embargoed until this morning, but this announcement come through, and really it is about the fuel sector, and I guess we could say fuel sector reform. So tell us what this is really all about.
So Sandra, today is a good day for Cayman. We are going to strengthen the fuel sector regulation and enhance consumer protection.
Mm-hmm.
This reform has been needed for decades in the country. It's now going to be housed in the Ministry of Economic Development under the auspices of the regulator, ERCO, or OFIG as it's still known. But this is going to be a game changer. It's certainly, this government is all about not kicking the can down the road. We're not putting off tomorrow's problems onto another government. We're dealing with the tough issue.
So the first question is, how is this going to actually benefit Caymanians? So we have a regulatory change here. We're moving responsibility for the fuel sector from one ministry to another ministry, and that's being done legislatively. What difference is that going to make in the lives of the average person? Because they're all sitting here listening going, okay, this sounds interesting, but what difference is that going to make?
Well, let me perhaps set out the history.
Okay.
And then we can then describe the intended future state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a creature of its time. As you may know, the trade and business license and the Department of Commerce essentially was the gatekeeper of all commerce business in the country for decades.
Mm-hmm.
But now that the country has become much more modern, much more sophisticated, far greater degrees of business lines, this is one of the areas in which is licensed under trade and business license and then regulated by DCI for licensing purposes, but at the same time is a utility that ought to be completely licensed by OFREG. So what you have is a mismatch in regulation. You have it sitting within a ministry and a department and a trade and business license board that doesn't have the expertise, because this is very detailed scientific matter, that doesn't have the expertise to provide the level of regulation to enhance consumer protection, to have transparency on pricing and how the sector actually works. So rather than continuing this long-standing gap, what we're doing in a number of cases, but this is a powerful example of one, is to move it to the proper area in which it ought to be regulated in the modern context of Cayman for a variety of reasons that will enhance the community's protection from a consumer standpoint, and also the country gets a better pricing, hopefully, at the end of the day. So I'll turn it over to the minister to describe the future state, but it's now time to move it away from DCI and the Trade and Business License Board. No disrespect to them. It just means that if there was a hospital underneath of them, can they really regulate a hospital? Actually, it's a different practice and commission.
And I must admit that I always thought, and so this was news to me when I saw that this was going to be the discussion this morning, because I always thought that since they were regulated by IRCO, that IRCO actually licensed them as well. And you're saying that actually hasn't been the case. Wow.
No, for historical reasons.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so, Sandra, not only are we going to now have IRCO be able to go from just inspecting, just going and testing pumps, testing compliance, but in order to really anchor this industry, we're going to be the entity that has to grant the license, because it only makes sense that if you're going to regulate it, you ought to license it. The second thing that's going to happen that is going to be hugely important is that we're going to legislatively change so IRCO actually has to approve price increases. No longer are we going to have a case where IRCO is sent information to then do recalculations. That for me is not regulation. Regulation is where a regulator gets the data and ensures that all of the facts and figures behind the data add up. The second thing that we'll be looking at as a government that has been talked about way too long in the country is not allowing one single entity or group of companies to put together a corporate structure to be able to run an industry from what economists call cradle to grave. Right now, we have fuel companies that are the supplier, they are the wholesaler, and they're the retailer. We also heard stories more than 2 decades ago, where they were pushing local gas companies, gas stations, around and putting them basically on a lease arrangement. We are going to look at how our economy ought to operate. We cannot continue to have this sort of light touch approach to serious matters that mature countries pay attention to. Because in effect, what you wind up setting is unintended monopolies. Because if one entity is allowed to own all of the elements of a business, right from the source to the consumer, then you in effect can price at every level the way you want to and hide profits wherever you want to. And so this government is about tackling tough problems, complex problems that we've talked about over and over and over. This has been knocked around Parliament and legislators for decades, Sandra. That's just a fact. We are now going to do something about it, and that something is impactful and meaningful. Because when we look at how we actually go about this, the second issue that we have is right now, IRCO or OFREG is not supposed to have any area of business that it regulates that the business lines fees don't pay for it. Right? Right now, this entire sector is cross-subsidized by other areas and direct contributions from government. The model of OFREG is that the water sector fees are supposed to pay for all water regulation. Fuel sector fees supposed to cover the cost of all fuel, and the same at CUC and the other bespoke licenses. And so this is now going to ensure that that piece of legislation is truly complied with.
Correct. So at the moment, what you have is blurred accountability, a lack of direct and complete oversight, which is then leading to inefficiencies. And the consumer, far less, not even put the consumer aside, the government doesn't have full transparency at how prices are arrived at and how this gets to market. So it happens at a time where fuel is topical, but it compelled us to then look and say, well, wait a second. The last piece of news that was 2 Sundays or so ago was fake news. And thank you for helping OFREG dispel that as fake news. But it then allowed us to say, well, what if this was true? What if it really was going up to $7 on Monday morning? How would this been arrived at? And when Minister Anglin, to give him credit, went to ask the regulator that it is within his remit, and they came back and said, well, hang on a second, we've been saying this for years. This is part of the difficulty that we face. We said right away, this requires immediate action.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
So, Sandra, the bottom line is we have to set the licensing conditions. We have to ensure full accountability.
Yep.
We have to access the licensing revenue. We can't have that fractured oversight, funding gaps, and then lack of transparency in the industry that ERCO can actually do its job. So I can say as a government, this ought to be a wake-up call for what's coming. We're being completely transparent and coming to the public. This is not appearing in some white paper or some green paper. We're announcing this publicly. The work is going to commence with the drafting of the legislation. And the second phase is going to be about how we actually structure this sector. Hugely important. Hugely important.
So we will be deleting various references to the sector from the trade and business license framework, and then adding where appropriate into the fuel sector regulations.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anthony says that the adult beverage industry is the same. They're the importers, wholesalers, retailers competing against the small mom and pop stores. I mean, obviously you have a choice to drink or not drink adult beverages, but pretty much all of us rely on fuel, from fueling our vehicles to, CUC, electricity, all sorts of things in our lives, rely on fuel. So everyone is eventually impacted by that. So we've got a new model, folks. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see exactly in real terms how this works out for us. Now, I know you guys have a hard stop at 9:30 today, as do I. So is there anything else sort of pressing that can we throw out a few questions at you while we have you both here with us, two cabinet members?
Sure, you could throw out a few questions. One big picture point before we close this point, which I think is an extension of the comment you just made. By having greater transparency, this then connects to our efforts to address as much as we can cost of living.
Right.
Because if every one of the stakeholders that you just mentioned a few sentences ago are impacted by the price of fuel, if we, from various angles, can reduce that price, then that's just not you at your household. That is the stores that you go to shop that can reduce their prices. Therefore, those prices should then be reduced to pass on those savings to the consumer. That's usually the challenge, and what people say, well, how will you ensure that that happens? And we'll have to continue to work at that. But at the first port of call is to see how best we can reduce that cost, which is, as you just quite rightly said, is a necessary, essential cost for the country to be able to pass on those savings to all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Sandra, while you're coming up with some questions, this is not only topical because of this industry, but just about a month ago, the Premier and I were having a long conversation about a range of matters And I said to the Premier that one of the issues that we had not announced during the SBS stage that certainly I was going to be bringing to caucus was what was tangentially referenced by the comment that was made just now, which is ensuring that we truly are focused in this government about economic development. I think too often in the past governments, everybody's concentrated on public finance, which they should, budget, but about how we shape the economy, how we ensure that this economy is right size and works for Cayman and Caymanians. We've not done a very, very good job at it, if we're being very honest. And one of the things that we are going to be looking at is any forms of anti-competitive legislation that needs to be brought to the country.
For some reason, Minister, not hearing you.
From our standpoint, are you back?
Oh, yes, there we go. We can hear you now. Yes.
Sandra, if you can hear us, you're frozen on our end.
Oh, okay. Keep going, because now I can hear you. So maybe it's just a little catch up. The internet has been spotty lately, but we can hear you.
Okay. I think we're back. Thumbs up?
Yes.
Well, if you wanted to venture into another topic, I think we've had a very powerful news, given CMR an exclusive this morning.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I think that's powerful news, and I think it has potential, all jokes aside, to assist the country. If I could think of one natural extension, which I know was topical last week on your show, was the other ways in which we're looking to enhance DCI, and trade and business license. So let's jettison things that other regulators are now more equipped to deal with, and enhance matters that are within your remit that should now be strengthened. So, for example, when it comes to governing commerce entities from a pension standpoint, a health standpoint, a trade and business standpoint, one of the major gaps that's being exploited that not all of those entities talk to each other on an automatic data sharing basis. So an application comes in, it's dealt with for a particular purpose over here, it's dealt with for another purpose over there, and another purpose over there, and not all of the entities are talking. So what we need is a far more comprehensive, in 2026, system of data sharing between the entities. So when decisions are being made at a board and department level, there's full sight of the entity. Are you up to date with pensions? Are you up to date with health insurance payments? Are you up to date with your licensing fees? Rather than just a quick renewal here, not paying this one over here, not paying this another one over here, and the public having to struggle and go to government office with complaints is a situation that we find wholly unacceptable and is ripe for reform. So we'll be, that was already, I should say, part of the work stream for 26, 27, but the points that you made and the reasons that you made them last week is just another demonstration as to why this area is ripe for reform.
All right. 9362626. We got just a few minutes left in the program. If someone has a pressing question, I do want to, over the last week, we've been spending quite a bit of time talking about human trafficking, which is becoming more and more of a reality here for us. And it's not something, as I was saying earlier this morning, that we should take lightly, because there's real evidence that what Minister Miles said back in November of 2025 is a reality. And I think perhaps we've all been kind of not cognizant of how bad the situation is. And as I'm learning more and I'm getting more victims coming forward and they're sharing more about their plights and their information, and even police officers coming forward saying how there's interconnectivity between some of the crimes and activities that are happening here with how people are being imported into this country. What is the government doing, in relation to this? I mean, now we know it's a problem. What will the government be doing to curtail our potential to be used as a country that basically is involved in trafficking individuals?
Two steps, and this connects back to the point I just made. The first step is some of the claims that have, and to be fair, they've been unverified so far, but the claims that have come in that have been strong we've asked, because the alleged failings seem to be at either a civil service or a board level. So what we are instituting is to say, I spoke to the governor last week. Minister Miles spoke to the deputy governor and say, Deputy Governor, we need you to at least look into this using whatever tools or measures to assess the evidence and see whether or not there are any deficiencies or failings immediately to ensure that those gaps are closed. Longer term is what connects back to the point that I just made, as again, matters like this are slipping through the cracks because agencies, through no fault of their own, that's just how the system is set up as we found it, aren't connected to be able to close the gaps and identify. And there are plenty of very good, outstanding corporate citizens, but how do we get to a better data sharing to be able to capture those who are bad actors? And because of the existing gaps, which I'm pretty sure if there are bad actors have already identified, then we're not as resilient to these matters as we could be.
Okay. All right. We've got 2 callers on the line. We'll take them quickly, ending in 4684. Quick comment or question for the ministers this morning.
Good morning, Chandra. Good morning to the both ministers and the premier.
Morning.
This is something I've asked you about and you have done about it. It's about speeding on a stretch of road. And you have sent the commissioner an email, but nothing has happened, Sandra. And I talked to 2 of my neighbors just last week. Someone is going to get knocked down, killed on the whole stretch of Northwest Point Road if more speed bumps are not done. Last week, it was completed on the Boaton Bay side from the Watercoast intersection there. When you turn by the Super C restaurant to go to the left, to the Cayman Turtle Center, they put one up after that. And then the other one was completed on Boaton Bay Road. But the whole stretch of Northwest Point Road needs some calming measures, and the police need to get on it and start ticketing all of the speeding with the motorbikes and the cars that go on at night. Please, I am begging the government to address it because the police refuse to put a car to see what's going on. Thank you. Continue doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
To the government.
Appreciate it.
Day.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
Yes. I saw you acknowledging, both of you, that you are aware of this issue.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Northwest Point Road cuts between West Bay West and West Bay North, and I grew up in Northwest Point. There are actually a couple of other traffic calming measures up by Western Holiness Church and just above. But is quite correct. After you cross the church and you get all the way to Turtle Farm, you don't get another single traffic table as is being installed on main thoroughfares. So that is already in the pipeline. The workflow at NRA is that, as I understand it, we understand it, it's in April that they're coming back to West Bay to complete all of our speed humps. In fact, I think it's about 16 or 17 more across all areas of West Bay. I think that's on our list that is due for completion in Q2 of this year.
Correct. So if you saw us nod, and caller, if you saw us nod, is because we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. We've made some headway in certain areas of West Bay, but that is a particular area. I know I have those in West Bay South, Battle going to Tucker Restaurant. There needs to be more speed calming measures there. I know that Minister Kathy has some in Central. So we're working our way through the district to enhance road safety.
Okay, final caller of the day. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Auntie Sandy. Good morning,
Morning.
Mr. Premier. Good morning, Minister Anglin. It's Johan Moxham. Hope all is well with you guys.
Morning, sir.
One quick question. I know you guys weren't in power at the time, but my question and comments are about the situation involving the application, the PR application or status application for he's known on the streets as Crazy Larry, the Canadian national who was silly, dumb, ignorant enough to let his anger get the best of him and assault a young Caymanian 17-year-old driver, getting out of his Tesla truck, dragging the person, getting into the young Caymanian's vehicle and assaulting him. What are you as ministers and your government prepared to do to ensure that there is significant immigration reform where when individuals like a Crazy Larry and his wife commit such heinous acts and show the world who they really are you and your cabinet prepared to investigate this matter and reach the conclusion that those two are unfit characters to live and be given the privilege of living and residing in the Cayman Islands and becoming Caymanian permanently? Because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of Crazy Larrys and Lindas existing, employed, living in the Cayman Islands, and we shouldn't really be importing that level of riffraff, ignorance, and bigotry. We have enough issues to deal with our own people. So what exactly will you guys be doing? Will there be any amendments in the immigration law that help you make or help the system make the right decision where people like that are denied the ability to live, work, reside, and become Caymanians in our islands? Because it could have been your kid, it could have been mine, but it was somebody else's kid, and no Caymanian should ever have to contend with that from an outsider. If Larry and Linda were Jamaican or from somewhere else, they'd be gone. So the same rules and standards must apply to Crazy Larry and anybody else that offends and proves to us who they really are. So I'm eagerly waiting your response. Have a great day, guys.
Okay. Comment?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Moxham, for your question. Stimulating as always. I will say that I think so far the NCFC government has a strong track record on tackling serious immigration reform. Serious and great immigration reform bill of its kind has been 15 years. And we already had the opening start of that from Minister Miles. The minister, as everyone understands, together with the caucus and the cabinet, is passionate about immigration reform. If there are other reforms, using that as an example, that need to be undertaken at the end of more permanency than when you're entering to the system, we're happy to take that away. And we thank the caller, Mr. Moxham, for that powerful reminder.
But just to add one thing, Premier, is that Minister Miles's team has come up with some of the first-time strongest methods of revoking
Correct.
Permanent residency that never existed before.
Previously.
So that in and of itself is a huge step forward. And certainly, I mean, for me personally, after hearing the discourse, I intended to bring this up to caucus and cabinet tomorrow, because to my mind, it is absolutely lunacy that, as I understand it, there's some obscure traffic type of offense that this young 17-year-old is now charged with. Criminal justice is in the minds of every one of us. And the fact is, if all of us, if people can look on and say, we don't think that's fair, and that's what's happened too often in Cayman, is Caymanians look on and don't think the criminal justice system actually is fair and serves them. To my mind, I am shocked that given that video, any prosecutor would then come to the conclusion that that young man should have to face any charges. But, you know, those are the things that weaken our system. Is when Caymanians look on and see slap on the wrist sentences, they then start to lose faith in the entire system, and then we wonder why they don't come forward and give us information and work with the police, right? We need to do a better job when it comes to protecting our young people. What people don't realize, if that young man has to apply for a student visa and he wants to go to university, he'll have two choices. He'll either have to lie on his application for a visa and say he's never been arrested. Or if he says yes, the odds of entry into the US for sure, and Canada, I'm pretty sure as well, will be denied. So two routes that he perhaps would have chosen would get cut off. That's how serious these things are. That's how serious these actions are. And I think those in our criminal justice system needs to be cognizant of that when they're dealing with our young people.
And to tie the whole matter together, which is another component to Mr. Moxham's question. So yes, we're a government that has already shown, we've already proven our capacity for moving immigration reform. But there's another side of it, which is what Minister Isaac is working on, and is part of our broad and strategic outcomes, is the Caymanian identity and policy to begin with, of how you comport yourself historically and in the modern context as a Caymanian. There are certain behaviors that have come about and have been within our culture because we haven't been strong enough to mold and say, this is the Caymanian way. That behavior and that incident, as far as I can remember it, I don't ever see myself jumping out the car to ever act like that. Do you? It's something that I think first of all, before you even get to the law and regulation, I think culturally people were hit in the gut to say, what is actually happening here? I would never even imagine this even up to maybe 7-8 years ago. How did we get here? So it's one, being bolder and bolstering our cultural policy and making sure that is baked in from the start. Having a stronger immigration framework, which we're already miles into ahead of, no pun intended. And then also then bolstering what happens if you now breach that in a significant way, should you be within the context of being a citizen of this country.
That's right. And Sandra, I'm following some of the comments that's made. And one of the things that everyone listening needs to be cognizant of is, firstly, and I'm sure the Premier is in the same situation as I am, I don't know all of the current situations as it relates to this individual. And as I understand, he still has a case before the court. So, or potential case before the court. So as Premier and as a minister, for us to sit here and directly answer the question that I know the way perhaps Johan and some others may want us to answer, we really can't do, as you know, Sandra, right now, legally. And so we need to wait for all the dust to settle, and then the government can act. For us to now make interjections could prejudice cases and do a lot of unintended consequences.
Which is why our comments are more at a system macro level.
Yes.
So take names and faces out of a particular instances before the court. But we do know what was in the public domain is that there is a larger issue for us to tackle from a policy and legislative reform standpoint.
Exactly. And so you were struggling to think of, because it's so obscure, the charge against the young man. It was inconsiderate driving, something I've never even heard of before and did not know was on the books. And we understand that his matter has been dealt with, and he's gotten a point or something against his driver's license, and that falls away when he's 18. So whatever that means. Again, not something you really ever hear happening because it's so bizarre. But anyway, can we just get you to answer this rumor that has been circulated in relation to Larry? There is a petition, obviously, that's out. But there's this rumor that he's paid someone. The only people that he could possibly be paying would be cabinet. So that's why I'm asking you guys that somehow he's paid $1 million to get his residency. False? True? Rumor?
I don't even know if I should even dignify that with a response. No.
Well, yeah. Folks, don't find it.
Sandra, not only is it completely false, you made one comment there that we need to be very careful about. You said the only entity that persons can pay for immigration type fees was cabinet, and it's not cabinet they pay the Department of Immigration or Work. Not cabinet. Wow.
Yes.
Before that kicks off another round of debate.
Yeah. It's not there's no such thing as $1 million fee that we're charging anyone. So exactly. I don't know what this was supposed to be, but anyway, we can confidently say, as I said over the weekend, that is false. Don't find a reason to be cowards, folks. Just sign the petition. So thank you so much. We all have to run. I've got to get going. I've got court myself this morning. Got to be on time. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, we'll talk about that later. But thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And Minister, Honorable Premier, we need to talk about some DCI matters. So hopefully we can get you booked on the show soon about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. God bless Cayman Islands.
All right, folks, there you have it. Breaking news here this morning. We'll put it up on the website as well. Anyone who missed the show, definitely share the link with them so that they can never miss a moment here on the Cold Hard Truth. And I got to run out the door. So you guys have a fantastic day. See you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.